Hey everyone, good to be back. This morning at the very first sign of light, I headed out to one of my favorite places nearby. It's a bit of a hike to get up there, but it's definitely worth the view, and I want to show off something I think is just extraordinary, at least to me. Good morning, I'm Mick. I've been up about 22 hours right now, and I'm really tired. Right now, I'm standing on a cliff about 150, 60 feet above the Tanana River. It's about 3:30 in the morning, and at least around this time of year, it is the perfect time of day to get a good look at that. That is Mount Hayes. At just under 14,000 feet tall, it is the highest mountain in the eastern Alaska range. Fewer than 50 people have ever reached the summit. Most have no idea it exists at all, but to me, it is the most beautiful mountain in the world. A couple years ago when my car broke down in the middle of winter and I had to spend basically 2 months stuck in that tiny little $200 a month rental cabin. That was probably the worst time in my life since I've been on my own. And I had very little to look forward to. But at about 10:30 every morning, when the sun finally comes up in January in Alaska, that really was something to look forward to. And that mountain means a lot to me. And on a clear day, I can see it from my driveway. This is Alaska, just over 500,000 square miles of some of the most beautiful, wild, untouched places in the world. And at the same time, it's not actually a really great place to live. And I would know this because I live here, and not in very cushy conditions either. Which is why about a year ago I made a video called Why You Shouldn't Move to Alaska. And luckily for me, that video did very well. And while it definitely addresses a lot of very real problems, I'm still living here, so why? Without further ado, let me give you my best reasons as to why you should indeed move to Alaska. I think this really goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Alaska has by far some of the most incredible vistas and wildlife of anywhere on the continent, and even better than that, most of it is really accessible. The entire state is organized in this sort of vertical strip, tracing the Canada border up and down, which puts me about a day's drive from basically anything I want to see. These mountains are about an hour from my cabin, these are about 3, and the Pacific Ocean is just about 4. If I want to see glaciers, mountains, coastal rainforests, sea lions, whales, all sorts of other wildlife, I can leave home at 8 and be there by noon. In the opposite direction, there's about 4 geothermal hot springs, a massive lake system of uninhabited islands, the Yukon River, and the tallest mountain in North America. If I want to see any of these things, I could leave in the morning and be there by nightfall at the very least. There is absolutely no shortage of things to see, and that's not even talking about the wildlife. Alaska has about 560 species of native birds. There's almost all of North America's large grazers, from moose to muskox to bison. Then you have all the marine mammals, whales, porpoises, sea lions, even walruses in some places. And that's not even counting all the carnivores. You've got polar bears, grizzly bears, black bears, wolves, and I could keep going on. And I would. Trust me, I would, because the biodiversity is like my favorite thing in the world. But I think you get the picture. If you're interested in vistas or wildlife, there is no shortage of any of those. Now, one of the real blessings and curses about living here is that the government really does not care all that much about Alaska beyond gold, oil, and being a really convenient place to put a bunch of nuclear silos. But that works out in favor for the people that live here, because that means that Alaska gets some of the lowest taxes in the nation. Actually, the lowest taxes of any state. There is no universal income tax, there is no sales tax, and if you're living in the right spot, which I am, there's also no property taxes, which I benefit from greatly. Well, not greatly, because ever since I've been paying taxes, I've been well below the poverty line, so I don't pay much in taxes anyway, but, you know, if you're a real actual adult with a real job, instead of whatever this is that I'm doing, it's definitely a good incentive to move up here. And on top of all that, you get a nice little bonus at the end of every year, the PFD, which is the fabled free money that the government gives you for living here. It's not ever all that much, it's like $1,500 to $2,500 a year, but you know, it's a nice little bonus and something worth considering. So if any of those tax breaks sound good to you, that is a decent reason to move to Alaska. I kind of touched on it already on my first point, but this place really is one of the most amazing adventure locations in North America, if not the world. And really, you don't need to take my word for it, because this place has the second most national parks of any state in the country, just after California, because Of course it does. But anyway, that's millions and millions of acres of curated land that is specifically for just sightseeing and adventures and just all sorts of stuff, and it's all super accessible. So if you're interested in doing day trips or weekend trips with your family, there are so many places and so many opportunities to do just that. And if you're more like me and you enjoy more impromptu adventures where you just jump in your car and figure out where you end up as you're getting there, there is an infinite number of places to do that. I mean, I'm out in this incredible country. This is just off the side of the road. And from here, I could get across that river and get up into the mountains where almost no humans have ever been. And that's just a few miles away from my house. And not only that, but Alaska gets even more accessible in the wintertime, because to be honest, a lot of the state is actually pretty difficult to traverse for most of the year because a lot of it is covered in this really, really thick moss layer that's overgrown with all these really shrubby spruce trees throughout. But in the wintertime, all that gets packed down with really, really deep snow, and then you can get in with snow machines, snowshoes, and skis. And that opens up all sorts of mountains and hot springs and remote locations that you can't get to for most of the year. I mean, what do I even have to say? There's endless amounts of places to hike. There are river trips. There are places where like Pleistocene animals are just melting out of the sides of cliffs. We have glaciers everywhere. There's so much wildlife. And I mean, I could say more, but like, no matter what you're interested in doing, no matter what expedition or day trip just catches your interest, if you have the resources to get it done, there is so many things to see. This video is brought to you by Incogn. Incogn is a personal data removal service working hard to keep your information out of the hands of data brokers and hackers looking to sell your personal information for a profit. There isn't really much overlap between Alaska and the internet, but they do have one big thing in common. In many places, they are both lawless frontiers. On the internet, that takes the form of companies who scan the web for information that they can sell for a profit, such as home addresses, profiles, full names, and even more serious things like social security numbers and court information. That's where Incogn comes in. Just make an account, give them the right to work with you, and they will go out on your behalf to over 230 different data broker companies to request the removal of any information that they might have in their databases, as well as deal with any refusals from those companies. From there, just sit back as they scrub your information from the databases of any bad actor that they might find, while they are keeping you fully updated every step of the way. If any of that interests you, you can start today and take back your privacy by using my exclusive discount code, Betting on Alaska, in the video description to get 60% off an annual plan. Or go to my link at incogn.com/bettingonalaska to start your subscription today. Thank you so much to Incogn for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Now, obviously, Alaska is a world-class hunting and fishing destination, and more obviously than that, if you live here, you can have it all year round. There's all sorts of hunting seasons for all sorts of big game in a ton of varied locations. So any time of the year, you could be out in the woods, in the tundra, by rivers in the fall at a moose camp, which is a lovely way to spend one of the most incredible autumns in the world. And I really mean that. I really mean that. Mid-August to late September is really wonderful. If you want to be up in the mountains, there's the Dall sheep, of course. There's black bear, brown bear, polar bear. There's all sorts of huge trophy animals, as well as big game animals for food. In the autumn and winter, you have moose, and then in the summer, right around now, honestly, we're getting the salmon run in. So there's really all sorts of opportunities. There's a very good reason that I've filmed all of the other bits in front of big, beautiful vistas, and I'm filming this part in front of my cabin. That's because this place and everything I've done here is the best possible way to visualize the real reason I'm here. The world is a very hot, loud, crowded place, but Alaska isn't. This is one of the few places, at least in this part of the world, where you can really get away from everything, and I really do mean that. And it's not for everyone. It really isn't. For the vast majority of people, I would not recommend that you live here. There are a lot of very good reasons not to live here. As I mentioned earlier, I made a whole video about it. But at the same time, for people like me, for eccentrics and people who are really looking for something different and who can handle that, this is maybe the best place in the world for it. I love living here. I remember when I moved here, just having this thought in my mind that this strange piece of land that I had no attachment to, in just a year or two, will become home. And it certainly has. No matter what happens from here on out, I'm going to remember this spot for the rest of my life, and all of the good memories associated with this and everything around here. If you're really looking for something different and really want to live on your own terms and forge your own path ahead the way you want to do it, Alaska is the place for you. And last but not least, emotional manipulation. So for my entire childhood, every year my family would go to watch Banff Mountain Film Festival. But every one of those opens up with what I believe to be one of the best pieces of hype music ever written, and a lot of wonderful, incredible footage to go along with it. And nothing makes me want to get outside and just enjoy the natural world like that. So to cap this video off, I threw together something like that. So enjoy. That's gonna just about do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so sorry that it's been so long again since I posted a video. I've been kind of restructuring around here. I'm with a company now that's gonna get me with a lot more sponsors, so that way I can actually make a decent living on this channel, which helps everyone, including you, because the more money I make here, the more I can produce, because the more I can build, and then that all just snowballs on itself, and it's a really good thing, and it was worth delaying a video for, because with this new system I'm going to be making about as much per video as I would be making in a month before, so it's a big difference. So I hope you guys understand. It's gonna make my life a lot better, and it's gonna make a lot more content for everyone. So it's a win-win-win. I've got a bit more art for you guys today. If any of you are interested in this piece that I have up for sale, all you have to do is send me an email at bettinginalaska@gmail.com with the amount of money you'd be willing to pay for it, and whoever happens to be the highest bidder will win that piece, and I will get in touch with them and figure out payment and shipping as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Mick. Toil for your food. See you later, guys.